problem wasn't just earning nothing. It was that I couldn't predict what I would earn even the next month. Definitely not the next 2 months. So my name's Alasdair. I run the channel Elementary. We have maybe 700,000 followers combined, do anywhere between 40 to 100 million views a month. And before I met Jan, I was barely making any money from sponsorships.
What did you like the most in the service?
Okay, so the thing that really sold me and keeps me around and keeps me wanting to come back to Jan is that it feels very complete, very end to end. I considered other options where maybe someone just does the outbound for just emails people, but Jan does everything to helping you close the deal, so doing the sales training, but also even after that, tracking the data of how your calls are going and when you should follow up with clients. It's just very complete, and I didn't see another service like this. And as a creator, you don't have a lot of time and you don't know how to do sales properly, so this was very helpful.
Can you tell me what was the biggest problem before?
The problem wasn't just that I didn't have enough inbound and I wasn't feeling like I was making enough money for the amount of views. To be clear, it was up to 80 million views a month just on YouTube, more on other channels, and some months I would earn nothing. And the problem wasn't just earning nothing, it was that I couldn't predict what I would earn even the next month. Definitely not the next 2 months. But now, since we have this outbound process, we know how many people we're reaching out to, how many people are interested, how many are going on calls, what percentage of them I'll probably close. It's a lot more comfortable for me to make any investments, and it increases my risk appetite because now I know how much I'm going to make in the next few months. I'm happy to risk more on a video or to just do anything.
And I remember that before we started working together, you were thinking about other options that you had. Can you tell me why did you choose to work with me?
Yeah, so the other options mainly were just outbound email. And I don't know if they would help set up the meeting, but it was mostly outbound email. And the closing would still be up to me. The other option also was commission only. On the surface of it, it felt safer, like I had nothing to lose other than like a larger actually set up fee. And even though that option was cheaper, I felt like I get more return working with Jan because of the end-to-end help and experience. Because I don't know how to close sales calls. I don't know how to track my clients and stuff. I just know how to make videos. And the other services wouldn't cover that part. I would have to work with 2 people instead of 1.
Who would you recommend this kind of service to?
I think the best fit for this service in terms of creators is going to be somebody that can promote brands often. So I make videos about tech, about products, software, new research. So it's very natural for me to promote a brand because it's basically the same content that I'm already creating. So if I were you, I would think about how many ad spots can you actually sell? Is it only 1 per week? Then unless you have a very big audience, it might not make as much sense as if you had maybe 3 per week. That it could just be that you need to diversify your formats. This is why I also focus on short form. On long form, you might only get 1 ad spot. But if you make more shorts, or you have a podcast, or you have an Instagram page and you have more ad spots, I think it makes more sense for you.
Understood. And in the very beginning, you said also that this partnership made your pipeline and your income more predictable. Can you share how did it impact your life?
The biggest impact is now I feel like I don't have to worry about anything. There's someone worrying about my business for me because Jan also takes part in the success of this partnership. I feel like I have less things to worry about because someone's doing the worrying for me. Before, I wouldn't pay myself a salary. I would just withdraw money when I needed it. And that was largely because the business wasn't consistent enough for me to feel like I need another monthly expense on the business.
So what results do you see now?
Right now, in the last 28 days or 4 weeks, we closed 3 deals, and the 3 deals brought in maybe around 35K. And before this, I'd never had a month where I earned this much. And most months it was actually pretty minimal. But on top of that, now I also know that because there's a system for getting in more deals and more opportunities, I'm not waiting for someone to email me. I know that this is a trend that will continue. We'll continue closing deals. Maybe it'll be like this, maybe it'll be even better. I just know more things will come in.
Can you tell what is the favorite part of our partnership for you?
It's all connected, but because Jan is also worrying about the partnership, it feels like I can ask him any question almost any time and he'll respond in a reasonable time. He won't, like if it's at midnight, I wouldn't expect him to respond, but like any questions, Jan wouldn't. But any questions I have about the process or any ideas, it feels like it's a safe place to put it out. Like I can suggest something and he'll listen to it and he'll tell me actually, he won't just say, yeah, you're right, but he'll also tell me sometimes I'm wrong and here is why. Actually, the whole process has been very, very educational. And even before we closed any clients, any sponsors, I thought I already got my return on my investment just because of all the knowledge I gained from speaking to him.
What was your biggest worry before starting this?
And so my biggest worry as a creator is I don't know many other people that do outbound for creators. Maybe I know 100 creators and influencers and only one other person does it, and they have a much larger company. So I thought that's possibly because this just doesn't work for creators. And I thought I would just invest money and not see any of it come back. And at the time, that for me, this felt like a big investment. It was significantly more than any editors or any software that I use. Because usually as a creator, you don't actually need to spend that much money to make your business work unless you're doing a Mr. Beast style video. It was a very difficult decision at the time, but now like I would make the decision way faster, presented the same opportunity. Yeah, the guarantees are good.
And what kind of advice would you have for other creators?
So if you ever meet me in real life, I probably already told you about Jan and how you should be doing outbound. So I think there's probably two main reasons you should work with somebody like Jan, somebody that can do the outbound for you. The first one is consistency and predictability. Every creator event I go to where there's a panel about the finances of a creator, they're always like, brand deals are best, but they're inconsistent, unpredictable, so you shouldn't rely on them. And you should explore other streams of income. But these other streams of income end up being a lot smaller than what the brand deals should be. So instead, you should be trying to figure out how can you make the brand deals more consistent. And that's what someone like Jan does. But on top of that, you now have much more control with how many brands you want to work with. So I think long term, I'm able to do one brand deal per day because my content is always about products. That will be pretty much impossible unless I start taking very small deals, if I was just waiting for inbound. Working with someone like Jan, it upgrades you from thinking of how can you earn a good living from being a creator to how can you run a 6-figure business and how can you run a 7-figure business and potentially even more depending on your size.
And who do you think this service isn't a good fit for?
I think you might not be a good fit for this service if you just don't have the capacity to work with a lot of brands or you don't actually provide a return on investment to these brands. So if you're not getting many views right now is probably not the right time to invest. You should wait until views are a little bit better. And if you only do very few videos, then there might not be a lot of deals that you can close anyways. You just can't deliver on those clients. So I'd say you're probably not a good fit if you're not getting enough views to justify hiring Jan, or you just don't have enough ad spots. There's nothing for him to sell.
And was there something difficult for you in this partnership since we started working with each other?
Okay, this is gonna sound ridiculous, but the hardest thing about this is he's brought in almost too many opportunities where it feels like I don't have as much time to spend on videos because I should be trying to close these deals and earning tons of money. Yeah, but it's a nice problem to have, too many opportunities that I can't handle all of them. It also makes you more selective on the calls, which I think helps with the sales too.
But we actually closed like 35K, even you had worked only 30% of the month because you were away, and we had to pause the campaign twice because you got so many leads, right?
Yeah, okay, so to be clear, like since we started taking calls, I think I've only been around in London for maybe 5 days to take calls because I've been traveling so much, and all of the deals were closed in those 5 days. Which is crazy because I would think if you're traveling on holiday having fun, why should you still be earning money? But that's, I guess, not the case here.
What kind of YouTubers have the biggest chance to achieve success in partnership like that?
The best YouTubers that fit this role, it's YouTubers with a lot of ad spots and YouTubers that are able to return an investment to the sponsors you're working with. Because if you only have one video per week and you only have one ad spot, the maximum Jan helps sell for you is 4 deals a month, right? But now if you're doing shorts, then maybe you have at least 8 ad spots a month. If you're doing Instagram, you might have 12. What really matters as a YouTuber, if you want to make a lot from sponsorships, is increasing your reach and increasing the amount of times you can reach that audience. I think most niches would work here. It's also important, I think, that you have a few deals that you've done already, and so you have an idea of who you can target. Like for me, what would make sense is just any company related with tech. If you're a fashion creator, how many fashion companies can you work with? Like, would it be contradictory to work with too many of them? And then now think, can you work with people adjacent to fashion companies? So not just your Zara's or, I don't know, H&M's, but the companies that are selling their products, maybe like an ASOS or an e-commerce platform like Amazon. You have a decent idea of what are different brands you can work with before Jan can sell it to them.
And what was holding you back from making this decision to start the partnership?
My worry, and I think a lot of other YouTubers or influencers will feel this too. So we don't spend that much money to make our content most of the time. Editors don't cost that much. Software doesn't cost that much. It's only when we really scale up production, rent and stuff. But at the time, this was the biggest purchase for me. The commitment I was making was the biggest purchase in a long time. And I was worried that I wouldn't see a return on my investment, or that the return wouldn't happen fast enough and the business would die. But Jan was quite reassuring, but also he modified the offer with like the right guarantees that made me feel comfortable about it. He was quite flexible, and just with the guarantees, it felt like there was no way I could lose.
What did you love the most about the service?
Honestly, Jan is very fun to work with. As you can see, he's here in my flat, and very few people have actually been in this flat. Like, my family hasn't even been here yet. It's like working with a friend, someone that's understanding, says nice things to you when you need to hear nice things, and strong or difficult criticism or feedback. He gives feedback to you when you need to hear feedback. So he's very transparent, but mindful of how you might be feeling. Yeah, the whole process was very transparent. I've never felt like I didn't know what was going on. And actually, if I didn't know what was going on, it's just because I was lazy to check, or it felt like it was too much. And in those cases, I felt happy that someone else was managing the campaigns and everything for me anyways, because I wouldn't understand how most of this works. And to be honest, I don't really want to learn to some extent.
But you've actually run your own outbound campaign, right?
Yeah, okay. I did forget to speak about this. Before meeting Jan, I did do my own outbound campaign, and I emailed like 10 to 20 companies and didn't get any replies. That 10 to 20 emails basically took me a whole day of work. Yet now, I think per campaign, we send thousands of emails. Not too many thousands that you could count as spam, but we reach out to thousands of companies, and we have very good open rates and very good positive reply rates that I wouldn't have been able to get even just on my own. One thing that actually surprised me a lot at the start is I was telling Jan about how no other creators do this, so we don't know what good copy looks like. But through Jan's network, he found somebody that was doing outreach, and he found some email copy that would likely work, and it did work. So it actually saved us a lot of time. And it was very reassuring to see him look for these non-standard ways for us to move a bit faster and get the return faster. And that was very comforting and very surprising too. I told many people about that.
Okay, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.